Namaste. Swadika. My name is Supinya Klangnarong from Bangkok, Thailand. I used to work with NGO advocating for media reform a few decades ago, which advocating for community radio access to the airwave, to the spectrums. And now I'm working for Cofact Thailand, which in partnership with community radio and local media in Thailand to do fact-checking and digital literacy. Okay, in Thailand back into 1930s, I would say that we started to have first-time radio station, but since then most of radio spectrum and frequencies owned by government and military, so we don't have so-called community-led until there's a lot of political movement and transition until 1990. That people start to campaign for political and media reform, and we got 1997 Constitution, and then it led to the Constitution that guarantee the right to access to the airwave for the community. So that's why since then, the first trial license for community radio, I think it's happened in 2012. Which at the time there's many thousands of so-called small-scale radio, which include commercial and non-commercial. So since then, I think more than 500 stations got a trial license for community broadcasting. But now, time gone due to many difficulties, legal aspect and regulations and digital disruptions and COVID, and now I think around 130 something radio station that applying or reapplying for the license from the regulator. We took a decade or 1 or 2 decades fighting for that constitutional right, saying that radio spectrum must be allocated to public service and community service, and then it's guaranteed on Broadcasting Act. So I would say that, but before that, people started to set up a radio station and signal and broadcast without a license. There's a period of unlicensed community radio in Thailand that some of them were arrested, and we fought the case. Until now, status of the community radio in Thailand, we are licensed. We got a license now so far. I mean a trial license. So it means they became illegal for more than a decade, but they're still struggling to for compliance, because in order to get a real license, you have to prove yourself a lot as a community radio. You have to submit many papers. You have to rearrange your studio and your transmitter, and you have to do a lot of things that this encouraging many radio stations stop. They want to quit because they could not meet the compliance and regulation criteria, and because of the digital disruption that people quit to do streaming, broadcasting, or audio show on internet or something, or social media, and after COVID-19 as well. And another thing is about the generation gap. The young generation, maybe they are not interested in. So this became a factor that the number of community radio decreasing in Thailand. But in terms of legal status, compared to 30 years ago, we are guaranteed by law, but the process to get the license, that became the main of struggle for the people. And another one is the sustainability financially, and the man and women power, especially younger generation, that maybe fewer and fewer that they want to do this service for community radio. Yeah, you know that most of community radio, they're conducted by community people. Sometimes the most difficult thing that they have to do a lot of paperwork, and sometimes, many times they have to commute to Bangkok or to some regional office to submit this kind of application. That took a lot of time, that took a lot of procedure. So I would say that now it's timely for Thailand to open an application for to transform so-called trial license for cognitive radio to a real one, like a so-called permanent license, maybe 7 years or something. So you have to do a lot of paperwork. You have to do transmitter quality checkup. But the application fee is might not consider much, but maybe it may be a lot for some people. So it costs 500 Thai baht, so it equivalent to maybe almost 2,000 Nepalese rupee or something. So per station, that's not a big money, but what required is the process and a lot of paperwork. That sometimes people want to keep up and they have to fill all the application online. So maybe some community people, they're not familiar with the process, electronic process in submitting all those applications. I think that it's about literacy, it's about procedure, it's about compliance. Maybe for the big company or for private sector, they could hire lawyers or they could hire a compliance officer to do those for them. But for community radio, you have to do by yourself. And if they don't have their younger generation helping, it will be a lot of difficult for the community people to do that. I think up to, according to the regulation, maybe they have to finish it within 3 months or maybe extended for more than that, but including the process, I would say that half a year or maybe more than that. It depends on the decision of the regulator as well. The license will be given by the National Broadcast and Telecommunication Commission. Sometimes they took a long process to make a decision because it has to go through local office, the central office, and the administration, and then they have to submit to executive review, and then they have to get final decision by commissioner, which that many times they has an internal obstacle and they have some challenges within the regulation and within the regulator. So maybe they took time, it could be forever. Not such that, but sometimes you cannot predict how fast it is because it depends on the bureaucratic process. Yes, currently I'm working for Cofact Thailand, which we are advocating for digital literacy, media and digital literacy, especially social media mis and disinformation. We do fact-checking lab and database, and we also working with local community, including community radio movement in debunking and pre-bunking myths and disinformation, focusing on different areas. For example, if we work with local media in some area that they are dealing with religious conflict issue, they would pre-bunk and debunk some issue like Islamophobia, or in some particular area they would have a lot of health-related disinformation. So in that case, community media, including community radio, they could help advocating this kind of literacy, pre-bunking and debunking disinformation in their own language toward community. And the recent threats right now for Thailand is about scam. So there is beyond disinformation because it's now become a scam which criminal acts. And we have to alert many people, especially people in the communities, to be aware of those scams. So one of the models that we developed with Nong Yasai Community Radio in Suphanburi, that they use community radio as a tool to alert people to be careful with receiving phone call, getting SMS, or doing activity online that you could face with the fake and fraud and online scam. So community radio, of course, become more important now because compared to social media, there's a lot of information and it's overload and you never know what is real, what is not real. So then you need to rely on traditional media, including television, news presenter, or even local media like community radio to verify. But in that regard, you have to really develop the capacity of the community radio news announcer or presenter as well, that they need to be they need to get a lot of information, so that's why they can inform the community member to be aware of what's going on in this digital eras, including disinformation and now coming generative AI eras. And I think this is the common threats around the world, as this and misinformation become one of the #1 global threats, global risks according to the World Economic Forum. So we need to aware global risks, but we have to take action locally. Think global, act local. So that's why community radio become partner of Cofact Thailand in tackling with mis and disinformation to empower people to be digital resilient. Okay, first of all, we still need the same old thing called critical thinking, and it means before you jump into any conclusion on those information you receive online, you have to think twice and slow reaction. No need to share it right away, and more than that, I think we have to be a fact checker in this era, especially media people, including community radio. You have to be well rounded with information, so that's why you can inform your community member to be aware of this situation. So I would suggest that community radio people and presenter, you need to get up to date for the information, and then you need basic fact-checking skill. So then you can tell this kind of story and alert your own audiences and community. And another issue that you have to somehow collaborate with other maybe a stakeholder or media agency in order to work together, because in this era there are so many threats, and it would involve more complicated way to fact check and verify. For example, maybe you need to work with younger generation. Younger generation, maybe they could help you verify video clips or pictures. So I think engaging with young generation is a must, because they are digital natives, so they could help people like me or older than me who are digital immigrants to be to understand what's going on in digital world, and then we can be well informed. We can talk to people. So I think first is remain critical thinking in the process, and second, engaging with young generation, and the third thing, I think we need to be realistic, remain in touch with the community. It means you need to get them engaged as well, because in this era people like to be on a lot of social media because they could be engaging, they could dance, or they could post something. So but community traditional media like TV and radio, it's somehow people criticizing that you be passive, you just listen. So that's why people jump to be on any kind of social media to be like proactive. So how to engage your audiences to be part of your program or community radio program. I think that is a mandate of community radio already, but it's a must now that you have to design or think about a new strategy for engaging people. It means maybe you have to connect your radio program with other social media means, or maybe on-ground activity or whatever, live performance or live streaming. Then people can engage through radio as well, but other mediums. So that's why it will keep our community radio being alive and intact with all the people.